So, Attorney Griggs, um, like always, there's always issues and things that we see, and we like to give context to, just so that the public has a really deep, in-depth way to look at what they're seeing legally, right? People seem to enjoy this platform that you and I share, so we're gonna give it to them the way we normally do. So this particular situation has nothing to do with your capacity as the president of the Georgia State chapter of the NAACP. I just want everybody to know that. In your commentary as relates to this, is specific to you being a defense attorney and civil rights advocate. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And so my commentary on this subject is completely devoid and divorced of my capacity as the NAACP president of the Georgia State Conference and the Atlanta NAACP. I'm merely commenting in my capacity as a 20-year veteran defense attorney and civil rights attorney in the state of Georgia who has handled high-profile celebrity cases such as the R. Kelly matter. So I'm commenting from that perspective.
All right, so now that we got that business out of the way, we're gonna go right to it. You, just like myself and probably everybody else in the world, saw the video that CNN released just yesterday that was jaw-dropping. And, you know, I did a video on it yesterday, and I wanted to go deeper into it because there's a lot to unpack here. But the first thing that occurred to me is that this young lady, and again, I will use the word that at this point, this is still all alleged. There has not been any criminal charges or anything. So as it stands, this is all alleged. It is alleged that Cassie was fleeing from the hotel room. She didn't even have on any shoes. She got to the elevator, and then shortly thereafter, someone who appears to be P.Diddy comes flying around the corner with a towel on, and he began attacking her viciously and violently.
First and foremost, any type of domestic violence situation is a very serious accusation and very serious consideration that needs to be taken seriously. With the release of this purported video from 2016, it's very concerning, the images that are depicted in the video. And if they are in fact true, then would constitute a potential crime. Now, the problem with it is that the release of the video, which is purported to have been in 2016 and now being released in 2024, there may be some statute of limitations issues with the prosecution of anybody depicted in the alleged video. We need to understand that, again, these are allegations. Nobody has come forward and claimed that this is in fact the images of a well-known hip hop star or the images of another well-known hip hop star. So from what I saw in the video, you know, as a seasoned attorney, it's concerning. But again, there have been no criminal charges, and there has been a quote settled lawsuit, which I believe has a non-disclosure agreement. So unless somebody comes out and authenticates this tape as being the person that's purported to have been, then we have to ask more questions than we have answers for at this point. But given the images that were in the tape, it's very disturbing.
So let's talk about the fact that this occurred in 2016, and we are now seeing this released in 2024. CNN, for whatever reason, found it necessary to release this video. Why do you think that was done?
I think it was done because there have been certain allegations in the public, and CNN wanted to be the first to either corroborate those allegations or to release this information publicly. And of course, as a media outlet, they're interested in views and having eyes on it. From a legal perspective, if there's not going to be any continued litigation, either criminal or civil, I don't really see why anybody would release this tape on either side. So the tape brings up more questions than it has answers, because from a legal perspective, if in fact this is the tape that depicts images of several well-known hip hop stars, it may create more issues than it resolves.
I want to be clear that we are saying that domestic violence amongst anybody is a problem. It's not right on any level. I was also taken by the fact that this video had to be recorded by security at the hotel. Now, it's been alleged that there was a $50,000 payment made by Diddy's camp to make sure that this video never saw the light of day. Again, we don't know the truth of that or not, but that's what is floating out there. Let's just assume that that is the case. Would that be cause for a victim to have to be able to go after the hotel for perhaps not making this available?
There's a host of legal issues that now have been impacted by the release of this tape. My hope would be that the purported alleged victim in the video had access to this tape when they could have pursued any type of legal action, whether civil or criminal. But if there was a concerted effort to obstruct the access of law enforcement to this tape, I know in the state of Georgia, there would be issues. I'm assuming that in the state of California, there would also be issues as well. But again, we have to talk about whether or not there's a statute of limitations problem there. But it also raises a bigger issue. If there's a pattern of this type of behavior, i.e., attempting to subvert access to information that could prove a continuing crime, there may be some federal issues as well if it impacts interstate commerce, or if there's a concerted effort of any type of allegations which publicly have been disclosed, that there's an active investigation involving violations of the Mann Act and things like that. This could impact something like that. Of course, the individual who's allegedly purported in this video is over the age of consent and is not a minor. But if there's allegations of any type of violence or things like that, it could impact that particular investigation as well. So it's a host of problems that this creates by its release.
Yeah, because again, when I saw it, I didn't understand why it was released. I don't know why this serves a purpose for CNN other than ratings. From my perspective, from a media aspect, other than views, I don't understand why this was released.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly appears to be for views, because from a public standpoint of needing to know, this should have been known a long time ago, and released publicly a long time ago, when it would in fact have been able to be prosecuted at the local level under the statute of limitations. But again, given there's an active investigation, and we know this because of the public disclosure of the searches of homes associated with Mr. Combs, that there's an active investigation, that would be if I was his counsel, I'd be gravely concerned that now this will impact that investigation and lead to more avenues that can be pursued for charges that are within the statute of limitations. Because it depends on when that $50,000 was paid, how it was paid, whether it went over interstate commerce. There's some issues there that can impact some federal statutes. And if there's a RICO allegation, it doesn't matter when it happened. It could be an overt act of the conspiracy.
The video seemed to have lasted for quite some time. And if you look at the time of day that it appears to be, it seems to be early morning, early afternoon, right? Or late morning, early afternoon.
It's clearly in the daytime. And it's clearly something that the security would have seen, because I do believe most of the time these closed circuit security television cameras are being viewed in real time. So it's not like, if this is in fact what it purports to be, and again, it has not been authenticated, but if it appears to be what it purports to be, somebody should have reported this.
Absolutely. Because I have to believe that they were screaming. He seemed to be very irate, so there had to be yelling. And then towards the end, you see where he took a vase and actually threw it towards the victim. So I'm certain at some point that had to startle people as well. When a celebrity is checked into any hotel, a celebrity of his magnitude, security is at a higher alert because they don't want anything adverse to happen while that person is there. So there had to be more attention paid to that floor. And then I also saw where the victim went to, which appeared to be a security phone next to on the wall, and called for help. So I'm just wondering why we're just coming to see this and to know about all of this.
Yeah, and all of those are definitely concerning questions that need to be answered. Again, whoever released the tape um, created more issues than they resolved. Because I mean, again, it did happen allegedly happen in 2016. There may be a novel way to readdress the liability of the hotel, because if you have this type of violent interaction alleged on your premises and you failed the duty to protect and have adequate security, or you just intentionally ignored it, or as it's alleged, took a payment, that's a real issue. And then however this tape materialized in the press, if there was an active, continuing attempt to suppress this, there's an argument that can be made that there's a continuing crime and a continuing violation of civil law that may be actionable. So, I mean, it opens up a host of liability issues, both civilly and criminally.
As a defense attorney, if you were representing the person that was shown in this video, would you be concerned? Would you be nervous about what's to come?
I wouldn't be nervous about that incident because, again, it appears to be outside of the statute of limitations, but I'd be worried about any federal investigations that involve any RICO conspiracy charges. And again, I think California has a RICO conspiracy statute as well. So if there are any related issues, and I would be having that conversation, or I would hopefully have had that conversation with my client. First off, are there any other tapes out there? Are there any other potential alleged victims? And, what is our criminal exposure? Because this type of tape gets the attention of law enforcement. It gets the attention of prosecutors, and prosecutors start novel legal theories to make sure that it doesn't appear that a high-profile celebrity got away with something simply because they allegedly paid somebody off.
If you are handling a client that was a major celebrity and this type of thing occurred, as it relates to partnerships, sponsorships, business connections, and tie-ins that you have with other parties, what would you, how would you counsel them on how to move forward? Because with this type of tape being out there, this has to be damaging to a brand.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be damaging to a brand. I would come at it from the angle of keeping that celebrity free. So my biggest concern would be the criminal liability. And again, based on where we believe the tape to have been generated in 2016, it doesn't appear from first blush that there's a criminal aspect that can be pursued here. I think the district attorney's office in that jurisdiction stated that as far as their review right now, there doesn't seem to be anything that they can do with regard to the statute of limitations on that, but trust and believe they are investigating novel ways to, go around that. But I'd also be worried about the brands and the damage to that celebrity's goodwill. And I would counsel my client to remain silent. No more Instagram posts from him or anyone else associated with him or anybody that could be, speaking as a third party on his behalf, because at this point, the stakes got a lot higher. And, the last major celebrity that went through anything remotely close to this decided to go on Gayle King and give an interview. And I strongly believe that interview led to the continual downfall that found him in prison for 30 years. So I just think that at this point, if I was counseling that individual, remain silent at all times, stop posting on social media, and, hope that there's no more uncovered videos that may come out of alleged potential domestic violence, criminal conduct that could be detrimental.
The public relations of this is absolutely horrific.
Yes.
As you know, I mean, I deal with high profile clients as well. And a lot of times these kind of things happening and looking to do things to offset it.
But the biggest problem is, sometimes the PR strategy runs counter to the legal strategy. And I do understand the need to get out and make a statement and, try to change the subject. But many times getting out and trying to change the subject gets you arrested. But again, if it's in fact true what we saw depicted in the video, and I have no reason to doubt the video, domestic violence is serious. It should not be devalued. The voice of the victims should be heard. And, I think this is just the beginning of us hearing about what may or may not be happening. When I saw, federal agents raiding several properties around the country, I typically know what comes after that. So for that to happen, then some time to pass, and now this tape to come out, there seems to be a strong signal being sent that something else is going to happen at some point.
Like always, you provide insight that not many people have, and we always appreciate you coming on. And again, we know this is not going to be the end of this particular situation. So I'm sure as things are updated, we'll have another conversation about it. But until then, you enjoy yourself, man, and we appreciate you.
Appreciate you, and thank you for having me on the platform.
Yes, sir.